And I was working this job and supervising the youngest male of color, supervising this particular community. And I had a new therapist to come in. And she had so much light, just like yourself, just full of light and love. And when I saw her, I knew it. I said, there's something that you have to share with me. And I don't know what it is, but I'm open and receptive to it. And she came from Agape. I don't know if you're familiar. I'm sure you are. Dr. Michael Beckwith out of the Secret, his community in California. And she was a colon therapist. And she was teaching people how to, you know, she's opening her new facility, her new center, helping people to live healthy lives. And she looked at me and she says, I think I know what it is. And I started working with her, and she was telling me to come in and start doing some treatments. And she referred me to this book, The Art of Meditation by Joel Goldsmith. And she said, I want you to go to this Unity Church and this Unity bookstore and pick up this book. And I went to get that book, Miss Rose, The Art of Meditation.
I have it.
Great book, great read.
I know.
And so I went to get this book, and I got in this community. And in Nashville, in this particular area, the community was still a lot of racial tension in the South, and you're very familiar with that. I walked into this bookstore, this church bookstore, and it was what I call lighter expressions individuals, and the lady was so warm to me, and she was so welcoming. I shopped around and I looked for The Art of Meditation, got it, but there was another book that I got that changed my life. It was I think it's God Will See You Through or God Never Fails by Mary Kupferle. A wonderful book, and I started reading this book, and it's like the more I read, the more I wanted. Like it had all the answers to questions that I had, and I had no one to validate the questions. I'd been looking for these answers to life. I was taught for so long I had to go through so-and-so to get to the divine, to get to the source. I had to go through the preacher, go through the teacher, I had to go through this and that. I'm like, but how come I can't go directly to the source myself?
Thank you.
And I read it in this book, and I read in the book that and this is the terminology, that God is your all-sufficiency in all things. This divine energy, big enough to take on whatever name we give it, whatever reference we need to give it. It's just big enough to take it on, and to suggest that this presence lives, moves, breathes, and has its being not only through me, but in me and as me. When I heard that, read that, and I'm like, I wanted more. And I began to look for communities, spiritual communities that taught those principles. And so I remember going to the Unity service for their 1-hour service on Sunday morning. I run to the Baptist church because Unity had the word, they had metaphysics, and they had the mysticism, but they lacked the kind of emotional catharsis that comes from being in worship, the beat of the drums and all of that, you know, that we experience. I know in our Southern, not only in Southern Baptist Church, but the music part of it, the spirituality of it was missing. They had the letter of it, but the spirit, they had the inner meaning of it, but it was something about the spirit of it, of worship, that appealed to me as well. So when I moved to Memphis and I encountered this spiritual community that had word and song, they had this new thought, metaphysics, teaching all of this, but they were free to express, to give response to the divine as they sense that prompting. And when I got there, I was like, this is heaven. I'm at home. This is home. I've been looking for this place. And interestingly enough, and it was just divine, that was the Unity Church that I ended up pastoring in Memphis, Tennessee.
Wow.
Actually, it was my last pastorate before coming here. And so it was to have read the information, then I started reading more. Eric Butterworth.
I love him. In
the Flow of Life. And I see you have one of my favorites, The Power of the Subconscious Mind, Joseph Murphy, and just so many, Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, Ernest Holmes, Science of Mind, and all of these, just wonderful material that began to affirm and confirm that which the Spirit in me was revealing as truth for me. Not to say that anything else was wrong.
Thank you.
It was just that at that moment I reached a level where I needed something different. And this new awareness, this new information, it nurtured me. And so then I would end up, oh my God, interacting with some of the great teachers. especially in the movement. Dr. Johnny Coleman in Chicago, Reverend Michael Beckwith, who's a friend and colleague of mine, Dr. Barbara King, Bishop Barbara King in Atlanta, Georgia, and to be here now, carrying on the legacy of Reverend Frederick Eichencoder, who really was one of the premier teachers of the movement, to have shared the word, the message that you can have what you want to have, do what you want to do, all that you want to do, and be what you want to be through the presence and power of God in you, which was so just revolutionary at that time. And in the community that I grew up in the South, you know, that was blasphemous. To even affirm that the presence of God lived in you, that we're one with the source, that was blasphemy. So I did not hear that growing up, but after reaching, of course, attending the Unity Church, and as an adult, I could begin to affirm that. And I remember going home, sharing this information. It was like, no, you're into something that's cultic, and that's, you know, you're
demonic.
Absolutely, you should leave that. But now to see how my life has been transformed and changed, and to witness this kind of spiritual metamorphosis in the life of so many others, I thank the divine. I give thanks daily for the opportunity to just be a vessel, to be a channel through which divine inspiration can flow and minister and touch the heart and life of someone else. There's no feeling like, nothing compares to it for me, to know that at this moment that I'm on purpose and fulfilling my divine assignment, moving toward in the destiny that was laid out for me. So, and I know that probably so many who are looking and searching for clarity and direction and for purpose and for understanding, looking for greater meaning in life, that to hear that, you know, I've traveled, been here and there, went to India, met with, to visit Sai Baba. I had the privilege of meeting him, stayed at his ashram, and Swamini, Alice, a.k.a. Alice Coltrane, in Los Agora Hills, California. Met so many wonderful individuals, traveled to Australia with the Aborigines and looking for this great spiritual experience, and all I had to do was just stand still and turn within. Hallelujah. Right here, right here. Turn within to the very breath of the divine that's breathing itself through me. And so, yeah, that's been my journey, and to be here in this year of actually moving into my 11th year. I think this is my 10th year of ministry, 2001, 10th year. Okay. It's like I know that this is a new cycle, 10, a new beginning, and to be privileged with the opportunity to share with the beautiful people at United Palace Cathedral, a wonderful community, and with the founding family, the Eichenkoders. I am so blessed and so thankful.
Yes, I am too, but what started it for me was this book, The Key to Yourself. And this is by Venice Bloodworth. This book, I think, is almost 60 years ago. Wow. It's an old book. When I received it, it was 35 years old. Wow. And I had an original copy.
Wow, my goodness.
And I spoke about it in my first book, how the pages had turned brownish. And I'm on the subway and pages falling all over the place, and people hit me because I got, you know, because I was diagnosed with dis-ease called scoliosis, and it's like lupus. And because of my, I won't say, I wasn't taught religion, because my mother and father was not religious. They did not take us to church or made us go. We went because we choose to go to get away from two drunk people. So it was an escape for us.
Sure.
And, you know, I spoke to you about, you know, the things that I saw that went on and what I experienced. And then all the people that in my family, which I talk about in my book, my grandmother, who was a believer in religion and church. And I'm a little girl, and I watch her just suffer. And I used to say to myself, maybe God can't hear. You know, because she's praying, and I mean, the only thing I can ever remember about my grandmother is being sick.
Wow.
And that was very painful. So when I was diagnosed with this disease, I didn't know who God was, what God was. But I remember saying, whoever you are, wherever you are,
all right,
I need help. I don't want to end up like my grandmother and all the other people that was such a believer in so-called God, suffer and die and unhappy. And first of all, I asked God, why me? And I got an answer, why not you? Which I couldn't. I said, what kind of God is this? What kind of answer is what? I didn't understand. But then he said, but you asked for this. Because I didn't know the power of the subconscious mind. So I'm like, God, why would somebody ask for a disease?
Absolutely.
You know. So I'm praying and asking for help because I didn't understand. And then my neighbor, I talk about Benji in my book, I didn't want to be bothered with him, but he called me and told me he had something to give me.
Wow.
And it was the original copy, not this one. This is the reprint. They got quite a few reprints. And when he gave it to me, I didn't really, I said, God, I need this book like a hole in my head.